Hi guys and welcome to Horologique. Today we're going to be bringing back a Swiss-made watch to the channel. The last one was the Rolex GMT Master, and that was 4 months ago almost, so it was about time. Here it is. This is the Steinhart GMT Master Homage. And as you can see, this is the Coke aluminium bezel insert and the 42 millimeters, and this watch comes courtesy of Laurent, who is a very good friend of the channel, so thank you very much, my friend. If I put these two in the background, it's no surprise. It's because we are going to be reviewing these as a prelude of a competition with this one, the San Martin GMT Master. And we shall see if that Swiss made is worth twice the price of what this costs. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this one for now. So what if we start by dimensions as usual? So I measured this one at a bit over 42.3 actually, and that might be because the bezel juts out a bit comparatively to the case, as you can see there. I measured the height at 12.7. Yeah, so that is quite slim, and that is in part thanks to the very flat sapphire crystal. Of course, I'm not measuring from the top of the Cyclops. And you've got a log-to-log distance of 49.7 millimeters. And that is pretty good for a 42 millimeter watch. And it is even better because you've got female end links, solid female end links, which make that the highest part that's going to be protruding is going to be this one at 49.8 millimeters. So wonderful, Steinhart. This is the way to make a large watch appear smaller. Take note, San Martin. Let's go to the dial of this watch, and the first thing to note is that you've got a matte dial. So unlike what Rolex does now with the piano black dial, and what San Martin have done as well, like the older GMT Masters, you've got these mattes. Let's go to the indices. You do not have the maxi indices here. As you can see, even though this watch is bigger, they are smaller than on the GMT Master because you do not have the maxi indices and you do not have the super case shape. See again the difference here? Those lugs are very slim compared to the larger lugs of the 2020 GMT Master Batman. On top of that matte dial, you have got the Steinhart logo right below the text Steinhart. At 3, you've got a date, which is amplified by the Cyclops. Amplified is a big word. If the amplification is maybe 1.5, that's saying a lot. It is very low amplification. But anyway, it is not badly done, it is not crooked or anything at least. And right below, you've got Ocean GMT in red to match the bottom half of the bezel insert. 100 feet, 300 meters, that is great. This is 300 meters water resistant. Wonderful. Automatic movement, professional. Okay, why not? And of course, that really coveted Swiss made at the bottom of the dial. Let's go to the hands. As you can see, you've got the same hands as on the original Rolex GMT Master, with the classic Mercedes hand and that red GMT hand as to match again the bottom half of the bezel insert. We shall see in very high macro the quality difference between these ones and these two. Alright, let's go to the bezel insert. And as I told you, you've got the aluminium bezel insert and it's the Coke. So the top half is black and the bottom half is red. So nothing special, nothing more to say about this bezel insert. You know, these are aluminum bezel inserts. They will leave, they will tarnish, they will be scratched. Well, some like it, some don't. I like both, actually. I've got an older GMT Master, which is faded, and I really do love that. One difference you can see is the bezel. The bezel, and I'm talking about the bezel itself, not the bezel insert. The bezel itself is much thicker when you see it from the front than the bezel on the Rolex. That will make that the rest of the watch will be smaller. And on this 42 version, on this 42mm version, it makes sense because it makes that all the rest of the watch from the bezel insert inwards is about the same size as a GMT Master 2. So 38.4 for this one when measuring from the outer parts of the bezel insert, and 38.4, so it's pretty much exactly the same measure when you look at this part. The dials and bezels are the same size. I wasn't expecting that, really. Let's go to the case, and as I mentioned, the case is from the older version of the cases of the GMT Masters and Submariners, and this is the non-maxi case or normal case with the thinner lugs, and I somehow prefer this one. It is more elegant and it wears better on smaller wrists. The finishing on top of lugs is vertical brushing, and it's pretty well made. Let's go to the sides. You've got a very nice polishing there. Pretty well done from what I can see. And that polishing, you've got the same polishing on the other side with that crown, and that crown is signed Steinhart. And here again you've got the thinner lugs from the 5-digit GMT Masters. Let's see the back of the watch, and here you see, I believe it's Poseidon with his hippocampus pulling his carriage, and on top Steinhart Ocean One 300 meters, wonderful. Swiss automatic movement, we'll get back to that. Stainless steel sapphire crystal. I wanted to show you how the bezel rotates. It's a missed opportunity here that Steinhart just put a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Yeah, that is really a weak point of this watch. As you can see, the Rolex has, of course, a silky smooth bidirectional 48 click bezel, as does the San Martin. I very much criticize the first version of the San Martin because it had the same, it had just a 120 click unidirectional, and that does not make sense for GMT. I believe that is my biggest complaint about this watch. Otherwise, the clicks are good, they're smooth, they're clicky, there is no backplay, and everything aligns properly, so that's fine. Let's talk about the bracelet of this watch, and you've got your typical 3-link oyster bracelet, which tapers nicely. I don't know how much it tapers from, I did not measure that, sorry about that. It tapers from 22 to 18, back to 20 at the clasp. The finishing is polished. There are some scuffs in here, which shows that this watch has been well loved, wonderful. And you've got polishing at the sides of those links. And the links are solid, which is good. And the end links are solid too. Let's go to that clasp, shall we? So the clasp is signed Steinhart, that is nice. You've got a double security system. First is a little latch here, alright, that is pretty smooth, pretty good. And then you've got a friction system, like Rolex does it. So yeah, it is much less refined than Rolex, but again, you're not paying 9,000 euros for this. Okay, and as you can see, it is solid. At least most of the elements on this clasp are solid. But for the shelf itself, which is pressed, Yeah, I would have preferred a more solid shell, but that's fine. It does have 4 levels of micro adjustment. You do not have an easy link system like with these two, but this suits me perfectly. Let's go to the movement of this watch. And I believe that here is one of the strongest arguments for this watch. This has the ETA, either the ETA 2893 GMT movement, or it has the Sellita SW330 Elaboré grade, which are very good, very reliable movements. The 2890 series from ETA has been around since the early 1990s and is known for being robust. So here, if you've got the ETA, there's no actual way of knowing if you've got the ETA or if you've got the Sellita. Even on the instruction booklet, they do not specify 2893 or SW330. There's no way you can know. Yeah, I would have liked to know. Maybe there's another way, maybe by the serial number or something. So if you guys know, please do let me know. If you've got the ETA version, this is a 21 joule movement beating at 28,800 beats per hour. So that gives you that smooth sweep of the second hand. It beats 8 times a second. It should have a 42-hour power reserve. Of course, it hacks hand winds, all that you want. If you've got the SW version, the SW is pretty much a clone of the ETA. However, the joule count goes way up, as the Sellita has 25 joules instead of 21. Let's see how it operates. So you've got a screw-down crown, of course, with a 300-meter watch. This could be a diver. It is actually sold as a diver. So the threading is, or the unthreading rather, is good. All right, we've unthreaded. So first position is winding, and the winding is butter smooth. That is very, very good. The second position, if you move the crown clockwise, you will be moving that GMT hand by increments of 1 hour. And this is what you call an office GMT in comparison to a traveler's GMT, as is a Rolex, or a true GMT, as some say. I don't like that term as well because they're both GMTs. So see, with the Rolex, same thing. Second position, the hour hand is the one that moves with the Rolex. If you move the crown counterclockwise, it will change the date. Some people prefer these as it will be easier to change the date. With the Rolex, you've got to move that hour hand twice around the clock for it to change a day. So some people find that annoying. I like it actually. I like both. I don't mind both. Both have their advantages. What if we see how the movement performs? Let's go and check that. So flat on its back, the rate is not too bad. I would have liked better. The amplitude is, yeah, it's just on the lower part of modern Swiss movements, but it's fine. And the bit error is wonderful. But don't you worry about that rate. I have tried it in other positions, and this is the highest deviation you will get. So I believe that in real world use it should come at +5, I would say, so within cost. We shall see for the full review. So a pretty good watch, this Steinhart, one that does not disappoint, and one that is certainly worth the €510 asking price. As you know, Steinhart has made a huge range of these. You've got the 39s, of course. You've got the ceramic bezel inserts in both 42 and 39, and you've got a lot of other color options. So yeah, one that gives you some variety and one that retains case form that might be favored by some. One that is Swiss made as well, so that might be very important for a lot of people, but at almost a double of the price of the San Martin, which is a very good watch. How much is Swiss made really worth? And overall, is this watch twice the watch as this one? Let's see that in a coming comparison review. Stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll be seeing you very soon on the next review. Goodbye.